Racetrack Ranch, Glendale. The Rangers train in Surprise, Arizona, which is about 20 miles northwest of here. This is the second and final time that these two teams will meet. Earlier this year, Don Mattingly's Dodgers knocking off the Rangers 9-0 in a laugher. But today, an opportunity for the Rangers to pick themselves up off the mat. They do not have their best roster here, but we will see how it plays out.
Also, the Rangers will be managed today by Jackie Moore. Jackie Moore is 55th year in and around baseball. Such a great guy to have on your bench next to you if you are a manager. Ron Washington, unfortunately, had a tragedy in his family. His brother-in-law died yesterday, and he is attending to some family matters today.
So here is Jackie Moore's lineup. Julio Bourbon out in center field. David Murphy. Mike Napoli, what a postseason he had last year. Brad Hoff trying to make the team. He plays first base. Connor Jackson trying to make this year's club out in left field. Brandon Snyder, former first-round pick of the Baltimore Orioles, is at third base. Luis Martinez, Alberto Gonzalez. And picking up the rear, hitting number 9, Jan Hervis Solarte. That'll be the lineup that Ted Lilly will face. Ted Lilly, now in his third year with the Dodgers. Last year, at the end of the season, over the last 2 months, September and August, he limited opponents to a batting average of 169. That was the best in all of baseball, Steve.
He won 5 of those 6 starts in doing so. And, Ted Lilly's one of those guys that he's got to have his good location or he's going to be in trouble. Generally, the other team will let him know if he has his good location right off the get-go. And, he tends to end up being right around a 500 pitcher. Have a good start, a bad start, back and forth a little bit. He needs to string together some of those good starts in the early part of the season like he did in the latter part of last season.
Take a look at the starting lineup defensively for the Dodgers. Rivera, Kemp, and Ethier in the outfield. The infield a little bit different than that. It's going to be Dee Gordon at shortstop, Juan Uribe at third. A couple of Ellises in the lineup. Mark Ellis playing second base. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Of course, James Loney, a stalwart over at first base. And he is kind of keep on keeping on. James Loney had a really nice second half to his 2011 season. All right, we're ready to go. Julio Bourbon will step in. Bourbon was the everyday center fielder for the Rangers at the beginning of last year before an injury finished off his season. Only played in 32 games. Today playing center field instead of Josh Hamilton, who did not make the trip. Steve mentioned a moment ago that over the weekend the Rangers are going to head to Las Vegas to play a pair of games, and so a lot of their regulars getting today off.
Hamilton not here, Elvis Andrews not here, Kinsler, Cruz, Young, Beltre, the list goes on and on. Those guys will be playing in Sin City.
Pitch misses inside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Bourbon.
Unfortunate injury, and you always wonder about a guy who's, his best asset may be his speed, and that's what Bourbon is. A couple of seasons ago, stole 19 bases at the major league level. And the injury that you mentioned was a severe ankle injury. Had to have surgery to correct it. So you just wonder if that speed comes back with the player when he heals.
This ball hit high in the air. Shallow right center field. Coming on, Andre Ethier makes the galloping catch. 1 up and 1 down here in the first inning.
Kind of a bright day here today, a high sky, no clouds up there in the air. Both outfielders, both Ethier and Kemp, broke back on that ball originally. Then they regrouped and were able to outrun the lagging fly ball there.
If there's anyone that knows about the sunshine here in Arizona, it's Andre Ethier. Growing up in the area, of course, playing college baseball at Arizona State. This is home for him. Here's David Murphy. Murphy's been with the Rangers for the last handful of seasons, originally a draft choice of the Red Sox.
Number 1.
Former Baylor Bear. Takes a fastball, misses inside, 2-0. Murphy last year, .275 the batting average, and 11 home runs in spot duty for the Rangers.
St. Patrick's Day sneaking up on us tomorrow. Murphy might have some fun.
You think? Lions may have some fun.
Collins may have some fun.
I'm not Irish in the least. I guess tomorrow I can be, though. 2-1. Misses high, 3-1. Steve, what was the difference in your eyes with Ted Lilly down the stretch last year when he really stepped up his performance?
Well, for me, it was location and staying out of the middle of the plate. I mean, this is a guy, he's not going to blow the ball by you. He does get strikeouts when he'll run the fastball up in the zone, but mostly with that breaking pitch. But if he's in the middle, he's in trouble.
Hard smash down the first base line. That's going to be our first base hit. It's going to be for extra bases. Murphy's thinking about 3. Ball got stuck in that corner, and it's going to be a stand-up triple for David Murphy. I think he wanted to stop at second, but there was really no reason to.
Well, watch the location of this pitch. They're setting up. They're trying to go down and away. That never gets there. Misses location there by about a foot. And that's exactly what we talked about, the problems that you have when you're out over the middle of the plate and you can't throw the ball by someone. You will get hurt, and hurt often.
Now here comes the biggest threat in today's Ranger lineup. Mike Napoli, 30-year-old, former Angel, takes a pitch down low, maybe outside. Napoli last year finished with a batting average of .320. Stevie finished with 30 homers. This is a guy who's always been a good professional hitter, but the numbers he put up last year, just off the charts.
Yeah, he's always averaged right around the low 20s in home runs. And then the Angels traded him. And then Toronto turned around and traded him again, and then he just went crazy with the Texas Rangers. Found a home, certainly. Tremendous playoff postseason last year for Napoli.
One. Skips in the dirt. Nice block by A.J. Ellis. That's why he's out there.
Yeah, I think Napoli became a little less of a bail and wail guy. I mean, he used to kind of get out there and spin on his front foot, kind of try to pull everything to left field. You know, you don't hit .320 by being a guy who's bailing off of everything and trying to pull it. Drives the ball to the opposite field a lot better now than he used to. And stays on pitches.
2-hopper. Uribe's going to come home, and Murphy's a dead duck. I don't know what he was thinking about. Murphy, moving on contact, is out easily at the plate for the second out of this first inning.
It would seem like it would be one of those plays where you tell the guy that on third base to run on any ball hit unless it's hit back to the pitcher or the third baseman. That's hit right to Juan Uribe. And, well, you can talk until you're blue in the face about the year that Uribe had last year. Certainly did not have the kind of year that they were expecting. But he catches the ball. If you hit it anywhere near him, he'll catch it and throw you out.
Uribe didn't disappoint last year defensively. Just the offensive numbers weren't what people were expecting when he signed after coming over from the Giants.
It's funny, though, because, the way Uribe plays third base and the way he catches a ground ball, you would never, ever teach a kid to do it that way. He's very unconventional, catches most things off to the side. He doesn't look good doing it, but gets it done.
Here's our first look at former Rocky and Padre Brad Hopp. He takes upstairs, ball 1.
It seems like the rest of the lineup here is for the Texas Rangers are guys that used to be in another organization, been there for a while, 5-6 years, and now they find themselves in the Rangers organization trying to fight their way back to the top. Hopp, Connor Jackson, Martinez, Gonzalez. Solarte was in the Twins organization for 6 years, his first year now with the Ranger organization. All these guys, it's like a landing ground for guys that for wayward souls of the baseball world.
Brad Hopp wants to come home. He's a Dallas native, born and raised in Fort Worth. Off the thumbs, and look at James Loney. He's been doing that for years. Nice play. Get the force at second. Side is retired. Rangers threaten, but they can't score. Good glove work by the corners. First Uribe, and then James Loney. We've got a half inning in the books. No score. You see the Dodgers bat for the first time in a moment. Welcome back. Glad to have you here. Bottom of the first inning. Dodgers making a couple of nice defensive plays in the top of the first. So the Rangers do not score, even with that one-out triple by David Murphy. D. Gordon going to lead things off for the Dodgers. Don Mattingly's lineup. It's going to look very similar to this come opening day. D. Gordon, Mark Ellis, Matt Kemp, Ethier hitting fourth, Juan Rivera in left field. James Loney at first base, Juan Uribe over third hitting seventh, A.J. Ellis, and the pitcher Ted Lilly. This is now the second consecutive day in which the Dodgers have chosen to have their pitchers hit. First couple of weeks, it was nothing but DHs. Here's D. Gordon. He takes strike one from Greg Reynolds, 26-year-old right-hander from Pacifica, California, by way of Stanford University. This is the guy who was a big-time prospect with the Colorado Rockies, selected second overall in 2006. And D. Gordon gets himself a leadoff base hit. Second consecutive day that D has led off the Dodger lineup with a base hit.
Well, D. Gordon won't be standing over there at first base very long. In fact, he may even steal second base in between pitches like he did yesterday.
Here's the defense behind Mr. Reynolds, Jackson, Borbone, and Murphy in the outfield. Infield of Snyder, Gonzalez. The second baseman is Jan Harris, Solarte, Brad Hopp at first, and the catcher Luis Martinez.
You look how the infield has to play so much more shallow, double play depth with the speed of Gordon and the threat to steal.
There goes Gordon on the first pitch. Thrown out a second. Oh, a
Whoa,
beauty.
You gotta be kidding.
Wow. Martinez guns down Gordon. And there's the first out at the bottom of the first.
You don't see Gordon go feet first very often. I think he thought that he had this stolen so easy. I think he had it stolen pretty easy too. Was he out? I don't know.
I guess D does better when he's stealing, when the pitch is not even thrown. Yesterday he had that stolen base when the pitcher was still holding the ball. So one out now, and pitch to Mark Ellis is another strike, 0-2.
Let's show you another angle of the stolen base.
I think he's safe.
Yeah, he's there long. Well, you know, the umpires are getting used to this too. It's spring training for them. They're going to miss them every once in a while. Like to see maybe the umpire get a little closer to that play.
There's a ball to Mark Ellis, 1-2. I was interested in seeing how Mark handles the bat. This is the type of situation where the Dodgers are really excited to have Mark Ellis. Not only a fantastic defensive second baseman, but probably your classic number 2 hole hitter.
Had that same conversation with Jerry Hairston yesterday. Unless you're a guy that considers yourself a 3-4-5 hitter that's going to drive the ball out of the ballpark and drive in runs, there's no better spot in the lineup to hit than in the number 2 hole. You got a rabbit on in front of you. You got a guy that can swing the bat, and Matt Kemp behind you. You're going to see a lot more fastballs to hit. And if you do happen to hit the ball to the right side with a guy on base, you get credit for it.
Called strike 3. Ellis doesn't strike out that often, but he's strikeout victim number 1 for Reynolds. 2 outs now.
Well, that's a split finger fastball, I think, right there from Reynolds, a pitch that he's been working on. Didn't dive down into the dirt. A lot of guys, when they throw their split, they're hoping to throw it out of the strike zone and get you to chase it. They're not necessarily trying to throw it with a strike. That thing just dove right into the lower half of the strike zone, and he got a called strike 3 out of it.
So 2 outs, bases clear. Here's Matt Kemp, 27-year-old. He's now played in 365 consecutive regular season games. So as dynamic as he has been, offensively, defensively, and on the bases, probably more than anything else, he's been durable. That's noteworthy in itself. The 365 straight games, more than twice as many as the next closest guy to him. That's Prince Fielder, who's played in 181 straight.
Prince Fielder had easily the longest streak going before Matt Kemp. And a couple of seasons ago, towards the end of the year, he got the flu and had to sit out a game. And hence Matt Kemp took over the reign of most consecutive games. Now, people, I think, sit at home and say, well, look at him. He's built like a tank. Well, what does he need time off for? Well, it's a grueling schedule every day.
0-2, lifted in the air, fairly deep right center field, going back on it and making the play is David Murphy. The ball just died in the air before it got to the warning track. So the Dodgers get a leadoff single by D. Gordon. He's wiped out trying to steal second. Second inning is next, scoreless in Glendale.
All your
Top of the second inning. Rangers and Dodgers. No score. Rangers had a one-out triple by David Murphy, but couldn't score on Ted Lilly. Now here in the second inning, Connor Jackson leads things off and takes called strike one. Former Diamondback splitting last year between the Oakland A's and the Boston Red Sox. Now joining the Rangers as a minor league free agent. A couple California guys battling here. And Lilly forces the weak foul ball right side off of Jackson's bat. Jackson now 29 years of age.
Connor Jackson, another one of those guys that's really kind of battled some injuries. In 08, he got 540 at-bats for the Diamondbacks. I mean, that's pretty much an everyday player. He hit 300 that year, 12 home runs, 75 RBIs. It's a pretty solid season. He's been battling back to try to get that form.
Ball and 2 strikes. Half swing went too far. That's going to be Lilly's first strikeout. Jackson will head to the bench. You asked me about Connor Jackson. You said, who's the guy who he resembles career-wise most similarly to you? I would say Xavier Nady. They're both former Cal Bears, high draft picks, right-handed hitters, a lot of potential, do a lot of different things, and injuries have always just kind of kept them from reaching what they were supposed to do.
Bunch of different organizations taking a chance on each player. Seems like every season wearing a different uniform.
So one out, here's Brandon Snyder. Snyder, like so many players on the Dodgers in this year's roster, is a second-generation big leaguer. His dad was a pitcher back in the 80s named Brian Snyder. Pitched with both Seattle and Oakland. We didn't get a chance to look it up. Did you face him, Steve?
I don't remember. He only played 15 games, I believe, so there wasn't a lot.
And he's a lefty, too.
Yeah, if he was a lefty, I probably did face him.
Brandon was a big deal a number of years ago. First-round pick of the Baltimore Orioles back in 2005. He was selected 13th overall as a catcher. It just didn't work out. Lasted a couple of years as a catcher, then they moved him over to third. He's also played a little bit of first base in his career. He's got just a handful of games at the big league level with the Orioles before coming over to the Rangers this offseason.
Yeah, it seems like third base might be the experimental place. First base, he's played a lot of catching and trying to figure out if they can find a spot where he can actually get some playing time and get some at-bats at the major league level.
Count goes full, 3-2. If you got first-round draft choice next to your name, it seems like you've got about an extra 4 or 5 years of kicking around with guys giving you chance after chance after chance. On the ground, Uribe off the shoe tops, 2 down.
You know, I think that's a decent point. I mean, bottom line is you're a first-round pick. One organization has invested a lot of money in you already, and they're certainly going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You have a couple bad seasons, they're going to keep you around. As long as you're healthy and playing hard, I think you're going to keep getting those opportunities. If you're 30th round pick and you do that same thing, you know, they'll send you away. But I think once you get out of your original organization, things change for you quickly. You better produce.
Luis Martinez lifts this one up in the shallow center. Mark Ellis shows off some nice range. Makes the backhanded catch right in front of Matt Kemp. An easy 1-2-3 second inning for Lilly. Still scoreless in Glendale. Rangers and Dodgers, bottom of the second. Clayton Kershaw winning the 2011 NL Cy Young Award. He'll be presented with the trophy before the game on April 11th. The Dodgers take on the Pirates. It's a 7:10 start. Be there to share the ceremony and receive your very own Clayton Kershaw Cy Young replica presented by StubHub. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions today. Now, before today's game, I had a chance to catch up with Ron Say. Penguin in town. It's kind of neat seeing him walking around.
Still looks like he could hit. You know, he's a fixture at Dodger Stadium during the regular season, and Don Mattingly thought it was important to get some of the tradition of the Dodgers back in the fold for spring training. And, you know, talking to Ron, he said, you know, I don't put a uniform on. I'm not going to try to get in anybody's hair, but I think the organization feels like it's important to show his face and to show the history of this organization and how important it should be.
Here's Andre Ethier. Swings and misses the first pitch from Greg Reynolds.
See those numbers from Ethier last season, declining in almost every category. Bad second half last year, due mostly to a couple injuries, fingers, knees. Completely healthy right now. The Dodgers fully expect Andre Ethier to go back to being the all-star type player that he is.
1-1 from Reynolds. Man, Davey Lopes, look out. Ron Say's former teammate, Davey Lopes, still spryed on the first base line.
Yeah, he's not nowhere near that first base coaching box, though, is he? He's smart enough to get down the line a little bit further, past first base. There's the coaching box. Davey's in right field.
Reynolds rocks and fires. Here's his 1-2. Skips in the dirt, 2-2. It'll be Ethier, Rivera, and Loney to bat here in the second inning. talk about Andre so much and the way that he just didn't have the numbers that he would have loved, banged up last year. And what kind of gets lost is he did have that long hitting streak at the beginning of the season. People seem to forget that he hit in 30 consecutive games.
A lot of media attention around that, and he certainly didn't really enjoy that part of it. He certainly wanted to go out there and get hits, but as the streak continued on, more and more people started to pay attention to it. He wasn't comfortable talking about it a lot. Amazing thing about that is right after that streak, he went into a nosedive offensively and went a bunch of games without getting any hits.
Down the third base line, that's a base hit. Ethier thinking about extra bases. Takes a big round at first. There he goes to second, and he'll make it with a slide. Second hit of the day for the Dodgers. First extra base hit, and Ethier in scoring position.
A good combination there of Andre Ethier making a decision almost right out of the box that he was going to go for two. And he's listening for Davey Lopes, but you really have to make that decision on your own, even though you can't see the play. You have to make up your mind when you're running to first that you're going for two. If you don't do that, you're out. If you have to look for a lot of help, you're out.
So Ethier now hitting over 400 so far this spring. That's his 7th hit in 16 spring at-bats.
Most of them extra base hits, too.
Now the 33-year-old veteran Juan Rivera grabs a bat.
Now, to me, you're looking at the part of the lineup right now for the Dodgers that will make the difference between whether or not they're a championship caliber team or not. Ethier, Rivera, Loney, Uribe. Those are the guys that have to have better seasons than they had last year, with the exception of Rivera, as he joined the team late and played very, very well for the Dodgers. Those other three guys had subpar seasons and cannot afford to do that again if this team's going anywhere.
Do you like the way this lineup is stacked? Is Loney right there, left-handed swinger. If you go from Kemp to Ethier, Rivera, Loney, and Uribe, going to be the major run producers. We go right, left, and right.
Yeah, I love the way it's stacked right now. I know that Don Mattingly was toying and really had penciled in Juan Uribe to be his number 5 hitter, going back even to last year. That was what the game plan was supposed to be. But Uribe is an all-or-nothing guy. He's a 240 hitter that could hit the ball out of the ballpark for you, but he'll kill a rally with a strikeout in that number 5 spot. You need to have a guy that's not going to strike out as much, a la either a Loney or Rivera. I still like Loney in the number 5 spot, but I like the way Uribe lines up a little bit deeper in the batting order. If he connects with one, all of a sudden you put a 6 spot up there in the first inning because he goes deep after a few guys get on. That's great, but he doesn't kill you with a strikeout in that number 5 spot, and you can't get anything going.
2-1 now to Rivera.
For so many years with James Loney, everyone said he's not a number 5 hitter because he can't hit the ball out of the park. James Loney can drive in 90 to 100 runs with 12 home runs a year if he hits in the number 5 spot and everyone else in front of him does their job. He's a gap-to-gap type hitter, and you can be very successful and drive in 100 runs doing that.
3-1 now. Off the end of the bat, count goes full, 3-2. I guess my point with this lineup, with the right, left, it seems to me as if you're playing for late in the game and you're trying to avoid getting the matchup you don't want. With the bullpens being so deep nowadays, with 12-man staffs and just situational left-handers and right-handers late in the game, it seems like you should be playing to score your runs earlier in the game when you get the starting pitcher possibly on the ropes. And I would like to have the right-handed hitter stacked up against each other, against the left-handed pitcher. Or maybe the left-handed pitcher stacked up together in the middle of the lineup against a right-handed pitcher.
Well, it's not a bad thought process, but flip the coin on that. You're not necessarily not trying to score runs at this point in the game, and your right-handed pitcher out there right now can never get into a groove on one side of the plate because he has to face a righty, then a lefty, then a righty, then a lefty. That's no fun for him to do, and those guys are viable hitters, every one of them, as they come to the plate. And the other point about that, like you said, there are so many specialists out there, but because you flip-flop your batting order and you have right, left, you're forcing the other team to use all of those guys out there. If you're going to bring in a lefty to face my lefty, fine. As soon as he's done, you got to bring in your righty to face my righty. And as soon as he's done, you're going to have to bring in another lefty to face my other guy. Well, now you've blown through your bullpen. I still got most of my guys fresh and ready to go, and I still have pinch hitters and my bullpen that I can use.
Reynolds and the catcher Martinez having a hard time getting on the same page. They'll talk about this 3-2 pitch to Rivera. Nobody out here in the second inning. Andre Ethier standing on at second with the double. Greg Reynolds from Pacifica, California. 3-year player for Mark Marquis at Stanford. Just be blown away by some of the players that were taken in the first round immediately after Greg Reynolds. If the Rockies had taken any of these other guys, history would have been changed dramatically. 3-2 pitch, misses outside. First two men aboard here in the second inning for the Dodgers. Greg Reynolds was taken second in the 2006 draft. Number 1 overall was Luke Hochevar, who was taken out of an independent league after being drafted by the Dodgers. The Royals took him, whatever. All right, so after Reynolds, immediately after him, the Tampa Bay Rays selecting Evan Longoria. So the Rockies didn't get Longoria. A little bit farther down, Tim Lincecum was taken by the San Francisco Giants. The Dodgers took Clayton Kershaw. Also in the first round, Ian Kennedy was drafted. What a season he had last year at the Diamondbacks. Brandon Morrow, a very good starting pitcher, was taken in that first round by the Seattle Mariners. So these are the guys who were all deemed to be lesser players by the Colorado Rockies when they said, this is the guy we want, Greg Reynolds.
Put so much time and money into scouting, and it still doesn't become an exact science. I think they do the best job they can. I mean, obviously, you look at Reynolds, you see the body, you see the frame, you see the big arm that he had, the year that he had.
There's the scouts right here in attendance, and everyone's...
They got the guns, the stopwatches, the good tan. Just ate a free lunch.
The leathery necks.
Well, when you look at Reynolds, you talk about, illustrating those numbers. I don't know if you could call it his best year, but his most time that he spent in the big leagues was 08 with Colorado. He went 2-8.
Loney hits this one deep down the right field line. It's gone. A 3-run shot for Loney. His first spring training home run, and it's a 3-run blast.
Well, those are 3 RBIs, well on his way to 100 that we were talking about before, and that one just happened to get up and out of the yard. I think Dodger fans out there would be very happy to see James Loney go back to being that gap-to-back power guy. Forget about trying to hit the ball out of the yard. I think he really worried a lot about that last year. Messed up his swing so badly that he was late on everything. Came back in the second half and had a very, very good second half after a dismal first half.
So 3-0 Dodgers. Still nobody out in the second inning. Juan Uribe trying to bounce back. 1-0 to him. 1-1. The one thing about James Loney, he's going to be consistent. He's going to give you that effort the entire season. He's never been on the disabled list. He's averaged 159 games the last 4 years. But he just got himself into a funk about a year and a half. Almost all of 2010 and half of 2011. And when people were starting to wonder where his future lied, that's when he really started to perform last year. Last 3 months of the season, if you just look at that split from the All-Star game to the end of the year, he was exceedingly effective, maybe the best stretch of his career.
Sometimes as a player, you're the last guy to know, but there's no question that James Loney had to start hearing the whispers of the fact, would he be back? Would it be a non-tender? Would they look to go out and maybe sign a guy like Prince Fielder, or if not Fielder, which they obviously didn't get, anybody else that might be able to fill the void over there at first base that had been left by Loney for about a year and a half.
Two-hopper to the shortstop. Gonzalez throws out Uribe.
Take you back to that sweet swing that James Loney has when he's on and feeling good. That just looked like a hanging slider out over the middle of the plate, and those generally end up there, up by those umbrellas in right field. That ball was walloped. And the other thing that James brings you is a guy who's going to work hard every day, keeps his mouth shut. He's a pleasant guy around the clubhouse, and he plays stellar defense. Saves this Dodger infield error after error.
Called strike one to the catcher, A.J. Ellis. Ellis so far this spring, 13 at-bats. He's got 4 hits, one of them leaving the yard. Last year, 2 home runs, batting average in the 270 range. Not sure if there's been a Dodger who has worked harder to get his name in the starting lineup than A.J. Ellis. He has been a Dodger his entire professional career. Originally drafted in the 18th round 9 years ago, 2003. Gets himself a base hit here. 30-year-old on with 1 out. The Dodgers continuing to put the pressure on Greg Reynolds.
AJ's a smart kid, too. He knows he's going to continue to try to get better offensively, but he knows his job is to handle the pitching staff, make sure that he does his job behind the plate, throw runners out if they try to run, and then offensively turn the order around. He knows he's going to be hitting 8th, needs to make sure that he brings that pitcher to the plate, regardless of what the situation with the outs are, so that you can get back to the top half of the order. If he's making the last out of an inning, he knows that he's not doing his job.
Here's Ted Lilly's first spring training at bat. He'll be asked to lay down a bunt.
Ted did everything exactly the opposite of what you're supposed to do that time. He pushed his bat down to try to bunt it, and then he squatted. If he did everything the exact opposite, he may have been able to lay that bunt down. If you squat down, bring your bat level with your eyes. My brother used to tell me, if you can catch the ball, you can bunt it, because that's all you're really trying to do is catch the ball with your bat. Bend your knees from here. There you go.
And he's now down to the count 0-2. Last year, Lilly, just 5 sacrifices laid down. It's not a lot for a guy who started 33 games. Just 5 sacrifice bunts.
I think you're getting a pretty good picture right here as to why he only got 5 of them down.
Did have 5 hits. He was 5 for 58, batting average of .086, which is a vast improvement from the year before when he was .043 for the Dodgers. And 2010 with the Cubs and the Dodgers, he had a combined 2 hits in 54 at-bats. But he does other things well.
Somewhere along the line, you're going to say that that's okay for a pitcher?
That's right, yeah. He limited opponents to the lowest batting average in the big leagues last year, the last 2 months. Not an impressive at-bat for Ted, but that's all right. Still early, his first spring training at-bat. He strikes out for the second out here in the second. So we go back to the top of the lineup, and D. Gordon. D had a single his first time up, tried to steal second, was cut down. First pitch to Gordon misses, 1-0. Steve, I thought you brought up an interesting point yesterday, talking about D. Gordon being a second-generation big leaguer. But really, he was not a typical second-generation big leaguer. He didn't grow up with great coaching and guys telling him what to do. He just kind of was a natural who came to the game and just played. But in terms of development, he didn't have many people saying, this is how you do it the right way.
And his first love was basketball. He really considered himself much more of a basketball player than a baseball player. And his dad, Flash Gordon, was a pitcher. Didn't really know a whole lot about teaching him how to play shortstop. And he said, look, I've always gotten better on my athletic ability, and no one ever actually showed me how to play the game right. And I'm finally starting to get that instruction, and I think that'll really help his game. And mostly defensively is where he's had his problems. Everybody knows he can fly. If he gets on base, you're in trouble.
Lifts this one into the air. Going to be an easy play for the left fielder. Connor Jackson makes the squeeze, side retired. But major damage done. A 3-run home run by James Loney. To the third we go. Dodgers up 3-0 over the Rangers. Temperatures in the 80s here in Glendale, Arizona. Dodger fans enjoying it because, well, the weather may change over the next couple of days. We're expecting some wind and rain over the weekend. James Loney getting a nice start to his day. A 3-run home run at the bottom of the second inning. His first spring homer. Well, Steve Lyons, I'm Eric Collins. Ted Lilly facing Alberto Gonzalez, leading things off. Gonzalez, veteran from Venezuela. Spent last season with San Diego. He's also played with the Yankees and the Nationals in his big league career. On the ground. Easy play for Mark Ellis. He is not going to make a mistake on that type of play. He is rock solid with the glove. 4-3 on the putout.
Mark Ellis hasn't made more than 6 errors in any one season over the last 10 years. You know, if he gets anywhere near it, he's going to catch it and throw you out.
What's going to be the difference for Dodger fans when they see Mark Ellis as opposed to what we were used to out of Jamie Carroll last year?
Well, you know, it might be ironic to say, but I think the major difference when you're talking about Mark Ellis might have a whole lot to do with D. Gordon. You know, Ellis is going to be a different player because of who's hitting in front of him. And so I think every time Mark Ellis walks up to the plate, his goal is to make sure that when he's done hitting, D. Gordon's on third base somehow. Whether he lets him steal second and he gets him to third, or he hits a ball in the gap and gets D to third, somehow I think his major objective is just to make sure D. Gordon's on third base when he's done hitting. Give himself up. Do whatever. Hit the ball to the right side. If D steals a base, bounce one to the right side. Make sure he's over at third. Give the guys in the lineup behind him a chance to drive D. Gordon in, and then it won't matter what Mark Ellis's numbers look like.
Yangervis Solarte down in the count 0-2 against Ted Lilly. Solarte spending his first 6 professional years from the Minnesota Twins chain. That's where Jamie Carroll is now. Jamie signing a free agent contract this offseason to play for Ron Gardenhire's bunch. That's a big deal for Jamie Carroll as Solarte strikes out. 2 outs now here in the third inning for the Rangers.
Tough pitch right there, kind of a backdoor breaking ball. Solarte didn't believe that it was a strike, but when you spend 6 years in the minor leagues and you're in a major league camp, and you just keep your mouth shut and go sit down.
Swing the bat.
Yeah, that probably would have been a better option.
This is Julio Bourbon trying to keep the inning alive. Shows bunt, and this is going to be a mistake bunt. Two-hopper, not going to be an easier play for James Loney all spring. Picks it up and tags out Bourbon on the way by. Easy 1-2-3 inning for Lilly. He's retired 8 in a row. Home run for James back in the second inning. 3-0 over the Rangers. Now join the Dodgers on Saturday, May 19th for the Dodger Stadium 50th Anniversary Fan Fest presented by State Farm. There'll be autographs, music, live entertainment, games, and more. Gates open at 12 p.m. prior to the game against the Cardinals at 7:10. An entry is included with your ticket to the game. Visit Dodgers.com/50th today for tickets and more details. It sounds cool. Speaking of 50th anniversary, as Mark Ellis swings at the first pitch and lashes it down the left field line, that one's going to be extra bases. Ellis scooting towards second. He's going to stop with a stand-up two-bagger. Second consecutive inning in which the Dodgers have began the inning with a double.
I remember talking to Jim Tracy with Colorado when Mark Ellis came over there. That's just a hanging breaking ball out over the middle of the plate. Those tend to get hit pretty hard most of the time, but he was really impressed with the attitude that Ellis brought to the Colorado Rocky Ball Club in the second half of the season when they were going to try to make their run. Didn't really pan out for him, but he certainly liked what Ellis brought to the table, and I think the Dodgers are very happy with this acquisition.
So Ellis on at second. Matt Kemp will bat for the second time. He flew out to right field to end the first. Goes the other way again. This one's going to stay in the ballpark. Murphy makes the play. Ellis tagging. Going to try for third, and he'll make it standing.
Well, there's the best player on the planet right there, not necessarily giving himself up, but making sure that he hits the ball to the right side of the field to move up a runner. That is Matt Kemp's power alley, too, and to right center. So that's exactly what you want him doing almost every time he comes to the plate. As we talked about before, if you're playing baseball the right way, even if you don't get a hit, if you give yourself up, you move the runner into scoring position at third base there, you're doing your job. Get him over there with less than 2 outs.
Now the infield's going to play in. Cut of the grass all the way around with Andre Ethier, the batter, 1 out. Ellis on at third. Ethier doubled and scored an inning ago. 7 hits and 16 spring at-bats for Andre, including 4 doubles now, a triple, and a homer. Swings at the first pitch, and this is going to drive in at least 1 run. Deep to left center field. Bourbon makes the play, and scoring easily from third is Ellis. Andre about 3 feet away from his second spring homer.
Well, Andre really didn't give us an opportunity to talk too much because he swung at the first pitch, but it's a tough proposition having your infield in when Andre's at the plate. Halfway might be a better option. Number one, he hits the ball in the air too often, like he did right there. He's going to drive in that run. Number two, when he hits it on the ground, he smokes the ball. I mean, you're giving your infielders so much fewer opportunities to catch the ball when you bring him in when he's at the plate.
Juan Rivera bats. 2 outs, bases clear. Rivera takes down low. Yeah, the numbers back you up, Steve. Last year, for the bulk of the season until Andre really kind of fell off, only Joey Votto had a better line drive percentage than Andre Ethier in terms of the National League, in terms of guys, the percentage of balls that they hit that are line drives as opposed to ground ball outs or fly ball outs. Andre, second only to Joey Votto, really good hitter at Cincinnati.
What's that metric called?
Just line drive percentage.
Oh, just line drive percentage. All right. I thought you were going to come up with some other acronym for me that
LD percentage
that I don't understand. Just tell me if he can hit.
Now Juan Rivera, more of a fly ball hitter. Pops this one up behind the Ranger dugout. Hey,
nice play.
Look at that.
Nice play. Take a bow.
Without a glove.
Now his hand hurts, though. Usher's going to come down and check, see if he's all right.
Today's the last day you can actually get a ticket in this place for a while.
Oh, my gosh, the sellouts. Vin's going to be in town calling a couple games. The stadium's sold out for the next few. St. Patrick's Day working.
Yeah, they're expecting about 14,000 people here at Camelback Ranch, Glendale tomorrow. There's going to be a day game. The Chicago White Sox, who share the facility, they're going to play in the day. They're going to close this place up and escort everyone out of here. And then a night game, the Dodgers will play a night game, St. Patrick's Day, and that one's a sellout. No tickets remaining for that.
Giants come to town, don't they?
Giants, yes. And Sunday's game, a sellout as well. Sunday, the Dodgers taking on the Angels. That's an afternoon game.
Whoa.
Diving stop, nice play. Gonzalez, does he have enough arm? No, he doesn't. Rivera beats it out. Infield single for Rivera.
All-out effort right there by Gonzalez. Very rarely we see a guy dive for a ball and actually skid across the ground before he gets his glove to it. I don't know if you can see it here, but already on the ground sliding before his glove actually reached the ball, and he got up, couldn't get him out in time. Now, you just like to see an effort, when you're a guy here that's been around the game a little bit, you're trying to make an impact on a new organization, and show me that you want to play.
So 2 outs. Rivera on at first. James Loney, a 3-run home run off of Greg Reynolds last inning. Now faces him again. Dodgers up 4-0. Breaking ball for a strike. Saw that nice play by the shortstop Gonzalez. The everyday shortstop for the Rangers is a very good glove man in Elvis Andrews. And they've got a kid coming up that they think is just going to be off the charts. Baseball America loves him. The scouts are convinced he's going to be everything. Guy's name is Jurickson Profar. Not going to see him today. He didn't make the trip, but remember that name, Jurickson Profar. He's supposed to be sensational. Shortstop of the future for the Rangers. Little number by Loney ends the inning, 4-0. Dodgers in control of this one. They lead the Rangers 4-0. Dodgers have played the Rangers twice so far this spring, now a grand total of 13 innings. And the Dodgers have outscored the American League champion Rangers 13-0 now. Does that impress you, Steve Lyons?
Well, it's always impressive to throw some runs out there, but I'm not sure that these are necessarily your American League champion Rangers.
You know, Josh Hamilton. David Murphy gets regular time for the Rangers. He takes a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, I think it'd be easy to sit up here and say, hey, Dodgers are throwing out their pretty much everyday lineup, and the Rangers completely are not. But at the same time, I was one of those guys that was like scuffling to make a team. So you know that every guy on the field for the Rangers today, they're giving you their best effort. They're happy that the regulars are going to Las Vegas and playing a couple games. There's guys on that Ranger team right now that are figuring they're going to play 3 games in a row. Today, tomorrow, and the next day while the other guys are in Vegas. Maybe I can make an impression. Maybe I go 6 for 8. Maybe I do something defensively that will open up some eyes. And I might not make the club right now, but when the season starts and they have a need, someone's going to remember what I did. And I think that's really important for the fans to recognize, and certainly the players that are trying to make that impression.
There's a called strike to Mike Napoli. He's obviously the biggest threat in the lineup today for the Rangers. Just looking over the numbers, Napoli last year, he had a slugging percentage that was significantly higher than Matt Kemp's. Hits this one well to right center field. This one's got a chance. Oh, no, Ethier. What a play. The former Arizona State Sun Devil makes the play right in front of the ASU sign in right center field.
And you talk about Matt Kemp out in center field, who has won a Gold Glove. I heard a quote from a scout one time who said, Andre Ethier plays right field better than Kemp plays center. I mean, he's a tremendous gifted athlete out there, runs everything down. Matter of time before he's got a Gold Glove under his belt as well.
And what was distinctive about that fly ball by Mike Napoli? It's the first ball hit out of the infield for the Rangers in 3 innings. They began the game with a Julio Borbon fly out to right field. Since, the ball stayed in the infield, either with a pop-up or a ground ball or a strikeout, until that fly ball by Napoli. And that's unusual. Ted Lilly is a guy who normally gets a lot of fly balls off of him. Big looping breaking ball misses high, 1-1.
Kind of depends on how Ted wants to work. If he's going to throw that breaking ball that tends to be up in the zone a little bit more often, tries to get guys out on their front feet, and a lot of times when that happens, you loop under a lot of pitches and hit the ball in the air. Ted is out there trying to do nothing but mess up your timing as a hitter. Try to get you to commit to the ball before it gets there, and once you do that, you've got nothing really left to power the ball.
Another fly ball, this one by Brad Hawk. Fairly deep left field, going back and making the play is Juan Rivera. So a couple of warning fly ball outs. Warning track fly ball outs, and Ted Lilly continues to cruise. He's now retired 11 in a row. feeling comfortable back in the dugout. See him there frequently during spring training games, hanging out with one of his former players, Dave Hansen.
That used to be a cardinal sin there, you know, turning around and waving to people in the stands during a ball game. But not Tommy. He can do anything he wants. Look at him. He looks great, doesn't he?
I've been looking down in the dugout, and it's amazing how frequently Don Mattingly leans over and asks Tommy a question. They're conversing the entire game, and I think that's a credit to both men, to Tommy Lasorda, that he still has the wherewithal to offer the stuff rolling around in his head, and Don Mattingly saying, you know what, this is my second year as a manager. I can get some help from Tommy Lasorda. What do you think, Tommy, about this situation?
I think Donnie's done a great job over his coaching career of picking up, you know, the best pieces of advice of all the different managers that he's worked with to kind of form his own style. And you got to think you should be able to learn something from Tommy Lasorda. Hall of Famer.
Juan Uribe takes down in the dirt from Greg Reynolds. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I think both Don and Tommy looking on intently right now as Juan Uribe is trying to get back into that form that we'd seen in years past, but just didn't have last year.
I think the tougher thing, too, for a guy like Don Mattingly would be to take over for Joe Torre. Joe Torre comes in here after his Hall of Fame resume, the success he had with the Yankees, a couple decent seasons here with the Dodgers. And that's a tough act to follow, and there wasn't a hitch at all. And I think the main thing is because Don Mattingly has the respect of every player in that dugout. They play hard for him. They understand what he is asking of them, and they give it freely. And you know, that's a huge credit to Donnie.
2-2 pitch to Uribe. Count goes full, 3-2. A lot of interest around the world of Major League Baseball today. I guess Andy Pettit has decided that he wants to give it another go with the Yankees.
I don't see any reason why he cannot come back and be successful. No, he was never a guy that was really going to rely on his power fastball. He's going to sink it. He's going to throw the breaking ball up there. He'll cut the ball in, guys. And I don't, you know, if his arm is sound, I think he can continue to do that.
Brandon Snyder trying to figure out how to play third base, has the ball just scoot underneath the glove. And Juan Uribe on with the leadoff single. That's the 4th straight inning in which the Dodgers have hit safely to begin an inning. That's a hit.
You score that one a hit?
Spring training. Not going to bury the guy.
Scorekeeper's getting in shape too.
Juan, I'm sure is thrilled that it's called a hit, not an error.
Yes, he is.
Only person that wants it called an error is the pitcher, Greg Reynolds, because now he's responsible for Uribe on at first. And he's not going to have anything to do about keeping him from scoring, as Greg Reynolds is going to be lifted. So here's our first pitching change of the day. We'll take a timeout. We come back. We'll tell you who the new pitcher is for the Rangers. Don't go anywhere. All over the Rangers, 4-0 our score. Dodgers have a runner on at first base in Juan Uribe. And the new pitcher for the Rangers is Tanner Shepers, 25-year-old. Former Fresno State Bulldog. This guy can bring it. We're talking high 90s heat. First pitch misses outside to A.J. Ellis.
Southern California guy out of Mission Viejo, California. My little brother graduated from Mission Viejo High School. 6'4", 220, another one of those guys like we talked about with Reynolds. It looks like he's supposed to be a pitcher.
Ellis whacks it out of play right side. Shepers was drafted out of high school by the Orioles in the 29th round. That was back in 05. Decided to play for Fresno State. And had a really interesting junior year. He was off to a great start, putting up big numbers for the Bulldogs, and then was hurt right around the conference tournament time. And he wasn't part of Fresno State's magical run to the College World Series title back in 2008. There goes Uribe, hit and run. That's a beauty. Ellis hit to the right side and easily advances Uribe into scoring position with one out now. So we're now here to the number 9 spot in the lineup, and Ted Lilly is going to be lifted. So Lilly is done. He goes a solid 4 innings, retiring the last 11 men that he faces. Lilly only gave up 1 hit. It was a triple to David Murphy with 1 out in the first inning, but Murphy would not score. So Lilly is done, and the pinch hitter is Gorman Erickson. The left-handed hitter takes strike 1 from Shepers.
Erickson's a minor league catcher, but doesn't remind you of a catcher at all. Saw him a lot earlier in spring training. He runs really well. Kind of reminds you of a lanky type of a left fielder or center fielder. Just, doesn't have those short, squatty legs like you see out of a lot of catchers, and he runs well too.
Just taking a look at who we're expecting to see throw today. Don Mattingly telling us that we'll have Wilfredo Ledesma, Scott Elbert, Kenley Jansen, and Javi Guerra at some point, and it looks like it's going to be Kenley Jansen will be the next to throw, the right-hander from Curacao. 0-2 now to Erickson. Pitch misses inside. Erickson so far here this spring has come up to the plate 4 times and picked up 3 hits, including a double. How do you do?
This is the second time that Shepers has faced the Dodgers. 3 innings worked so far in spring training. One of those against the Dodgers. He gave up 3 hits in that inning. Has trouble sometimes throwing the ball over the dish.
Shepers was drafted after his junior year by the Pittsburgh Pirates. 2nd round. And his shoulder was hurting, and he chose not to sign with the Pirates. Didn't think that they were offering him enough because of his injury. And he said, you know what? I'll play a year of indie baseball and then try it again. Prove that I'm healthy. So he did that. Spent a spring playing indie ball. And then was drafted by the Rangers, who really like him. And they try to figure out whether or not he should be a starter or a reliever. More than likely, he's going to be a reliever. Got a huge arm. So Erickson battling. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 24-year-old catcher from San Diego. Down the right field line, foul.
They talk about Erickson coming up through the ranks here in the minor leagues with the Dodgers. Maybe the best pure catcher in the organization, catch and throw wise. Mattingly taking a good long look at his young catcher.
Erickson, a California League All-Star a year ago. Playing for the Quakes, goes the other way. Flips it to the third baseman, Snyder, who makes the catch. So Erickson battling. Eventually makes out number 2. Put the bat on the ball against a really tough righty in Shepers. So that'll leave it up to the top of the lineup and D. Gordon. Gordon 1 for 2 so far today. Steve Ted Lilly finishes with 44 pitches, 27 of them strikes. He retires his last 11 in a row. Gordon goes the other way and fouls at third base side. When do we start to see guys stretched out a little bit more? I thought that with only 44 pitches, maybe we'd see another inning out of Ted.
I think by their next start. This was Ted's third start. Talked to him before the game today, and he said he thought he'd go 4 innings. I think they're going to start, worrying less about how many innings the guy pitches and how many pitches he's actually throwing. If you can get, through 6 innings and you throw 40 pitches, they'll keep running you out there. If you run into a little bit of trouble in 1 inning, then they start paying attention to how many pitches you've thrown and how you look. And there's always another spring training start. It's a long time down here.
D swings at a ball in the dirt. He'll have to be thrown out at first, and the play is made. So Sheppers comes out of the pen and does his job, retiring Ellis, Erickson, and Gordon. We played 4. It is a 4-0 lead for the Dodgers.
You can win.
Four to nothing. Dodgers on top of the Rangers. We're here at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. With Steve Lyons, I'm Eric Collins. Ted Lilly is done. 4 innings, 44 pitches. He was really good. Just 1 hit allowed for Lilly, and now Kenley Jansen will take the ball. Kenley trying to round himself into shape.
Well, when he's in shape, look out. I mean, this guy just dominates baseball games. Strikes out nearly 2 hitters per inning. Last year, struck out 16 guys per 9. A lot of people out there that don't really recognize the Dodgers. If you're an East Coast fan out there, you don't pay attention to what the Dodgers do out here on the West Coast. If you looked at the Dodgers on paper, you'd say there's no question Kenley Jansen is the closer on this team, but he's not. Javi Guerra is the closer. But the eye-popping strikeout numbers that Kenley Jansen and the power that he has would make you think that Guerra sets up Jansen. It's the other way around. Javi Guerra kind of slipped into the closer's role here when Jonathan Broxton got hurt, and he did nothing to spit the bit. And I think Don Mattingly at first, and there was a period of time where he trusted Guerra a little bit more with the ball in the 9th inning than Jansen, and then Jansen rounded himself into a player that was no question had the ability to take the ball in the 9th inning if they needed him to do it.
Connor Jackson fouls it back to the screen. Now Kenley has kept it business as usual so far this spring. He's appeared in 2 games and has yet to be touched up. He's given up just 1 hit. It was a single. That's it. A couple of strikeouts. Nothing else. No walks. So a nice start for him. Off the thumbs, foul territory. James Loney makes the play, and Connor Jackson is retired. That makes it 12 in a row. Ranger hitters retired by Dodger pitching. The only base runner so far today for the Rangers was David Murphy. He had a one-out triple in the first inning. Wasn't able to score. Napoli, fielder's choice, and then Brad Hoff retired on a really nice defensive play. Diving stop by James Loney. That ended the first inning. And ever since, it's been nothing but zeros. As Lilly and now Jansen just rolling along.
Add a few things to those numbers we were talking about with Jansen. Last year, the all-time single-season leader for most strikeouts per nine. The all-time record now set by Kenley Jansen for a minimum of 50 innings pitched. 16.1 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. Opponent's batting average last year against Jansen, 159.
Jeez.
Guys like me would say, well, you know, what's wrong with that? That's complete domination when he takes the hill.
Some pretty good names on that list of, we're talking about the all-time single-season strikeout per 9 inning guys.
Eric Gagne, Lidge, Wagner, Carlos Marmol, and for anybody who knows Marmol, just has wicked stuff.
Brandon Snyder, 3-1 pitch, swings and lifts it into center field. Hits it well, deep to center. That one's gone. Brandon Snyder with some pop gets the first run of the day for the Rangers. A solo home run off of Kenley Jansen.
Might be the drawback on a guy that throws really, really hard. When you do connect with one, you can launch it a little while. Flags are pretty much straight down, not blowing out at all. This ballpark here, Camelback Ranch, plays very, very small when the wind's blowing. That's just kind of a cut fastball out over the middle of the plate that didn't really cut the way Kenley wanted it to. Hit it into the humanity in center field.
Last year on the season, Kenley giving up 3 home runs in his 53 innings of work. Mark Ellis fields a funny hop and throws to first base to retire Luis Martinez for the second out.
That ball almost ate up Mark Ellis. That's a tough play because it's a high hopper. And he wanted to come in and make the play because he was afraid if he stayed back on it, he wouldn't be able to throw the guy out. But the closer you get to that ball, with all the top spin, it can skip by you so quickly. You almost play yourself into an error if you don't make that play.
Shortstop Alberto Gonzalez takes a fastball for a strike. Kenley Jansen, big, strong right-hander. But throwing a baseball, one of the few things in his life that he actually does right-handed. Ask for his autograph, he'll do it left-handed. Play golf with him, he'll do it left-handed. Was actually a switch hitter when he was a catcher in the Dodger chain. This one hit well to left field. It's got a chance. It's gone. Wow. Second solo home run of the inning against Kenley Jansen. Alberto Gonzalez touches him up. What's happening here? The left side of the infield for the Rangers have figured out Kenley Jansen.
Well, they might be sitting dead red. Let's check out this pitch again. Another fastball that just catches way too much of the plate. Kenley, during the season, is used to being able to get away with that pitch because he's got a little extra giddy-up. Obviously, Kenley Jansen still rounding into form. He throws his fastball in the upper 90s. Pretty sure he's not throwing that hard today.
Yangervis Solarte will bat. He takes down in the dirt. All right, listen to this. Kenley Jansen, in his big league career, has now pitched 80 2/3 innings. 80 2/3 innings. He's given up 3 home runs. In the last 4 batters, he's given up 2 home runs to guys by the name of Brandon Snyder and Alberto Gonzalez.
They don't count.
They count if you're Gonzalez and Snyder. They're going to remember that. Sure hope that Ron Washington and the staff remember it. 1-2 pitch to Solarte. Slapped down the left field line. This one's going to be trouble if it stays fair. Foul territory and out of play.
Dodgers re-signed Juan Rivera to go out there and play left field, mostly for his bat. That was a little bit of an odd angle that he took on that ball.
And how would you rate what we saw defensively from Rivera last year?
Average.
Hurt you average, or?
No, about average. I think if he gets the ball, he makes the play. I mean, that ball right there was a catchable ball. You can get yourself out of an inning if you make that play. He didn't. He just, took a bad route towards it. Didn't run right to where the ball was going to come down.
Yeah, there's the strikeout we're accustomed to with Kenley Jansen, but not before a couple of solo home runs. Snyder and Gonzalez touch him up. Dodgers still on top, 4-2. Camelback Ranch, Glendale. Dodgers on top of the Rangers, 4-2. Mark Ellis will be followed by Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier against the flame-throwing Tanner Shepherds, former Fresno State Bulldog. Ellis, the former Florida Gator, takes called strike one. Ellis is a guy, makes you wonder how people ever figured out where he was. Born and raised in South Dakota, Rapid City, South Dakota, which is hardly a hotbed for potential Major League Baseball players. Decided to go the college route, played at the University of Florida. David Eckstein, among others. Went to the College World Series. He's had a really solid big league career. Lifetime .266 batting average, 92 big league home runs. And he's played a fantastic defensive second base over the years.
Part of the quote-unquote Moneyball teams of the Oakland Athletics. Who admitted that he probably got a little bit of a better opportunity to establish himself as a minor or as a major league player playing in the Oakland organization rather than if he was stuck behind someone else in an organization that was really doing some things. Was part of that 20-game win streak that the Oakland A's had. Pretty exciting right after they decided to make all the changes and Billy Beane was about to be vilified.
Pop up on the infield. Brandon Snyder calling for it, makes the play. So Ellis is retired. He's 1 for 3 so far today. We'll see if he stays in the lineup. This is usually around the time when changes are made. Matt Kemp still in the lineup. 0 for 2, couple of flyouts to right field. Kemp just 27 years of age. When did you feel as good as you possibly were going to feel as a professional baseball player? When was that prime time for you?
Probably when I was 23 playing in Double-A somewhere. I don't know. You know, I think that, you know, between right around, 27 and 32 is probably you're not going to feel any better. It's probably right around the prime of your career, especially if you're a guy, if you look like Matt Kemp, gotten better and better every season. He had a tremendous year last year. I think the biggest mistake that Matt Kemp can do this year is to try to be better this year than he was last year.
He says 50-50.
Yeah, well, that might happen, but some guys put so much pressure. Matt got paid now, huge contract. Some guys put more pressure on themselves, thinking that they have to either live up to the contract or be better than the great year you had the year before. Just go out and play your game now. The chips will fall, I think, once you have established yourself as a good player.
Matt's disappointed in that decision. Swings at a high-level fastball and strikes out against Shepard for the second out. Just in terms of Matt's game this year, he had mentioned 50 homers and 50 steals. With his value to the Dodgers in the middle of that lineup, is he at the point where we always look at his body and say he looks indestructible, but trying to steal bases does take a toll on the body? Is it still a good idea for his importance for the Dodger offense to have Matt Kemp be as aggressive on the bases this year?
Yeah, because I think that's what makes him who he is. A number of years ago, I asked the same basic question to Barry Bonds. I said, well, what makes you better than Junior Griffey right now or some of the other top players that are in the game? He said, because I still run. And it was an important thing to him at the time. Obviously he slowed down, stopped running, and so will Matt. But right now, that's still a big part of his game.
Ethier bounces back to Shepard, who's opening eyes. Shepard has come out of the pen and retired all 6 Dodgers he has faced. We played 5 complete in Glendale. Dodgers still doubling their pleasure over the Rangers, 4-2.
Yeah.
Dodgers for what is sure to be an eventful 2012 season with the largest promotional schedule ever and the lowest ticket prices in years. To guarantee your tickets to opening day, Koufax's Scully Bobblehead Nights, purchase season tickets or select mini plans today. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/tickets. All right, third pitcher of the afternoon for the Dodgers, Lilly, Kenley Jansen, the first 2, and now it's going to be Scott Elbert, the left-hander from the show-me state of Missouri.
Hey, look at those numbers for Elbert, who was a guy that wasn't sure of his status on this ball club coming out of spring training last season. Ended up in 47 games for the Dodgers. You saw the ERA there of 2.43. Did a great job being a lefty coming out of the pen for Don Mattingly, and hopes to just continue to build on that this season.
First man he faces, Julio Bourbon. A couple of changes defensively for the Dodgers. Matt Kemp has been lifted. He's no longer in center field. He goes 0 for 3 with a bat in his hands. Tony Gwynn Jr. now patrolling center defensively for the Dodgers. And new middle infield as well. Justin Sellers is the shortstop with Adam Kennedy playing second base. Should mention, too, that Andre Ethier has been lifted. So next to Gwynn in there in center field, the new right fielder is Jerry Sands. So it's an outfield now, Rivera, Gwynn, Sands, an infield with Uribe, Sellers, Kennedy, and Loney. Ellis remains in the game to catch. And on 4 pitches, Bourbon draws the leadoff walk.
Right fielder number 7, David Murphy.
And Bourbon is going to be lifted. It's Leonis Martin. He's a Cuban defector who is supposed to just have phenomenal speed, a great defender out in center field. So we'll see if he is going to run with the Rangers down by 2. Leonis Martin. Rangers, maybe more so than any other team in baseball, have done a great job in recent years of picking up international talent, both Cuban defectors and also mining the islands of Curacao. They've got a ton of good prospects from the Dominican and Venezuela. There's been a real infusion of talent over the years for the Rangers, and they're reaping the benefits at the big league level as well. They've been to the World Series each of the last 2 seasons.
Going to be the team to beat the American League again this season.
You think more so than the Tigers?
Tigers, Yankees are going to be back strong. When you're a team that goes back-to-back World Series and the rest of the teams in the American League are trying to figure out how you get back, you start tailoring yourself to beat the one team that's been there for the last couple seasons. So everybody is going to be hunting for the Texas Rangers and trying to figure out how they do it and maybe model themselves after a team that gets back to the World Series in back-to-back seasons.
2-1 pitch to Murphy. Didn't mean to, went too far. Count even at 2-2. We're talking about Andy Pettitte trying to make a comeback. That's the story today. Coming from the Yankees camp. I'm a little bit worried about the Yankees pitching, rotation. After CC Sabathia, Freddie Garcia is still expected to be a performer. Hiroki Kuroda, of course, is there now. But I've never been totally sold, and I'm not sure that the Yankees are. And Phil Hughes as an everyday starting pitcher. Down to second base, and they're going to have a nice little pickoff right there. Scott Elbert picking off Martin. So the first out of the 6th inning. Now Michael Pineda was traded over from Seattle to New York, but he has not impressed so far in the Yankee spring training. They're wondering, well, the Yankees.
Bailey to close games down for them now. So, yeah, they've added some guys there. I just think that, that's a team that's really starting to think about reloading.
Murphy strikes out. So Scott Elbert rebounds nicely, picks off Martin, and now strikes out Murphy.
It's a good way to do it.
So 2 outs, bases clear. Here's Mike Napoli. I want to finish off a thought. We were talking about Napoli earlier in the game. As great as Matt Kemp was last year, and he was off the charts sensational, Mike Napoli had a slugging percentage that was significantly higher than Matt Kemp's. Napoli's slugging percentage of .631 was almost 50 points higher than Kemp's at .586. The slugging percentage, spring training for everyone, is you take total bases and divide it by at-bats. So in terms of extra base hits, power, the percentage of extra base hits, power, Napoli was decidedly better than Matt Kemp, who was just sensational.
Well, Napoli also played in a ballpark that's conducive to big power numbers in Texas, and Dodger Stadium is not. And, hats off to Napoli. Had a tremendous year for them. I mean, far and away better numbers last year for the Texas Rangers than he had at any point in his career.
And to be fair, Napoli was surrounded by Josh Hamilton, Nelson Cruz, Adrian Beltre,
he had
Ian
320
Kinsler
with 30 homers.
Hard but foul.
And one of the things you're talking about, the teams that might contend there too in the American League, and you point towards the Tigers. You know, Prince Fielder signs for mega cash, and once again, I kind of go back to the same feeling. I hope that he doesn't feel like he has to come into Detroit and prove his salary. He's been so good, but his power numbers are going to take a hit playing in Comerica Park. No question about it.
Scott Albert really turns it around. He walks the leadoff man and then turns around to pick him off and strike out Murphy and Napoli. Nice performance by the left-hander. 4-2 Dodgers.
This one.
Bottom of the sixth inning, Dodgers on top of the Rangers. Dodgers already a win this year over the Rangers, 9-0 a week ago. Trying to make it 2-0 against the current American League champion, Texas Rangers. New pitcher coming on for Texas. It's going to be Mark Lowe, who replaces Tanner Shepard. Shepard was really good, retiring all 6 men that he faced. Mark Lowe, now 28 years of age, out of Houston, Texas.
Mark Lowe spent a lot of his career with the Seattle Mariners. Their spring training complex is right down the road here in Peoria, Arizona, which is where Mark Lowe now makes his home. Last year with Texas, had a record of 2-3 with a 3.80 ERA. Got into 52 games for the Rangers.
Juan Rivera leads things off for the Dodgers. He takes called strike 1. The Dodgers getting 3 runs in the second inning, courtesy of a James Loney 3-run home run. They're also able to score a run on a sacrifice fly by Andre Ethier in the third. Loney will bat after Rivera here in the 6th inning. Juan reaches out, touches it into right field. Solid single for him, his second hit of the game. He's now 2 for 2 with a walk.
You know, sometimes when you look at a guy's career, especially a relief pitcher like a guy like Mark Lowe, who his first couple of years in the minor leagues he got some starts, but has been almost exclusively a relief pitcher. It's hard to get good numbers. I think it's unfair when you look at a guy like that who's been around 5 or 6 years now. And if you look at his career numbers, they're just not good. You'd say, how's this guy stay in the big leagues? You know, his major league totals, he's 7-18. His minor league totals, he was 9-10. Everywhere the guy goes, he's had a losing record. But when you're a middle guy, or you know, things happen when you're a reliever that sometimes you can't necessarily control. You end up with a loss. Hard to get wins, easier to get losses when you're that middle guy. But I just, like I said, it's just not fair to look at this guy and see what his record is and say, well, but how's he pitching in the big leagues?
And if you're that rare reliever who actually has a winning record,
then they call you a vulture. So I would go out on a limb and say that Mark Lowe's a little bit better pitcher than his record indicates.
Here's James Loney. Little cue shot into center field. This one may get down. It does. Back-to-back hits for the Dodgers here in the 6th inning. Nice day for James, his second hit.
Now, on the flip side of that, Lowe can come in here and just get blown apart. He's already given up 2 hits right here with nobody out, but he's not going to get the loss in this game.
And no chance. You can only get the win. We're going to have a pinch runner, James Loney. He is done, so solid day for him. Good defensive work and a couple of hits, including his first spring home run. But this one, not the most well-hit ball, but a perfectly placed ball.
This little jam shot into center field. Nobody standing out there to catch it. You got to have those to have a successful year. No question about it. When you get jammed, some years all those fall in and you have a really nice year. Some years none of them fall in.
Ivan De Jesus Jr. replaces Loney on at first base. So it's De Jesus, the base runner at first, Rivera on at second, and Juan Uribe batting for the third time. He's 1 for 2. Uribe limited to just 77 games last year. Hard hit ball. That'll make it through. Third straight single for the Dodgers. Martin fields in center field. His throw home, not in time. Rivera scores the Dodgers' 5th run.
That's the kind of thing you're looking for a little more often in 2012 from Juan Uribe. You know he's a bail and wail kind of guy. That front foot's going to come out of there. You throw him inside and he catches one, he can hit it into the seats. Otherwise, you got to continue to try to slap stuff up the middle, especially with the guys on base. That's how you amass your RBI numbers when you're a guy hitting in the middle of the order.
Uribe last year just 28 runs batted in those 77 games. But that's the wonderful thing about baseball. You get another opportunity to make an impression every spring. So singles by Rivera, Loney, and Uribe. Still nobody out. Home half of the 6th inning. A.J. Ellis, 1 for 2 so far this afternoon. All right, they both get 130 starts this year. A.J. Ellis, Mark Ellis. Who has more home runs?
I would say Mark Ellis, even though neither one of them are big power guys. A.J. Ellis said something to me the other day that just made sense. And, you know, if you're talking to the wrong guy, you might think, well, are you really trying that hard? But you and I have seen A.J. Ellis work. There's very few guys on this team that work at trying to get better than A.J. Ellis does. But he says, look, I know who I am as a player right now, and that's good enough for what the Dodgers want me to do. So I don't think he's going to go outside of his game to try to be a power-hitting catcher that hits 230. I think he's going to try to hit 270, you know, hit a few home runs and drive in the opportunities when he's got them, like right now.
Nice breaking ball, and the count is 1-2 to Ellis. Ellis in his minor league career, which consists of 541 games, 19 home runs. At the big league level, 2 home runs and 206 at-bats.
I think it's rare for a player, unless you're a superstar, it's rare for a player to feel like the organization has enough confidence in what you do and what you do is good enough for them.
Well, one thing we've seen from Don Mattingly the last couple of years is his type of catcher that he likes is a guy who's going to make every play defensively, work with the pitchers, and really get after it. You get sloppy behind the plate, you allow pass balls and wild pitches. That just is not what Don Mattingly wants out of his backstops. Double play ball, third to second to first in time. First 2 outs of the inning come on the base paths. Moving over to third goes De Jesus.
The center field number 10, Tony Gwynn Jr.
Well, doing a great job of pitching right there, getting Ellis to roll over a breaking ball down and away. That says if AJ was behind the plate, it's the same pitch he would have called.
Seems like if your last name is Lowe and you're a pitcher, you specialize in getting the double play ball. Saw Derek Lowe for a number of years just throw that sinker and get ground ball after ground ball. Here's Tony Gwynn Jr., his first at bat. Takes a pitch outside.
Get a lot of sinkers if you keep the ball low in the zone.
Said it yesterday, I'll say it again. This is not spring training for you, my friend. You're mid-season form. One of the cool things about spring training is you get a chance to see the current players interact with the older players. And I just was a fly on the wall yesterday when Tony Gwynn was talking with Don Newcomb. And you could tell that at some point, Nuke had told Tony, you know what? You always take first pitch fastball. Everyone knows it. Turn on one of those. And I guess early in spring training, Nuke actually saw Tony swing at a first pitch fastball and got a base hit. That was kind of cool with Tony rushing up to Don Newcomb and saying, did you see me do it? There's so much wisdom when you get some of these older players here in town and just getting a chance to talk over their experiences. There's Don Newcomb.
That guy's a treasure right there.
How much time do you think he spends pressing his clothes? He is always just beautifully dressed. It's incredible.
I'm hoping he has someone else do it for him, but you're right. That's the best dressed guy in all of sports right there, Don Newcomb. There's not a day go by that he's not dressed to the nines.
I haven't seen him here today, but I'm told that Tommy Davis is down here at Camelback Ranch. Dodger legend Tommy Davis.
Ron Say stopped by earlier.
Can you believe it was 50 years ago this year that Tommy Davis setting the Dodgers single season record with 153 runs batted in? What a year. We talk about Kemp last year. Tommy Davis, 1962, hit 346, 27 homers, and 153 batted in.
It's a good 3 years. Of course, all season long this year at Dodger Stadium, we'll be celebrating the 50th year of Dodger Stadium.
So that was the first year, 1962. Tommy Davis had that great year. It was the first year of Dodger Stadium, and people must have been saying, oh, my goodness, it doesn't mean anything. It's obviously a hitter's park.
Yeah. We'll be wrong about that, huh?
Two balls, two strikes to Tony Gwynn. Tony's one of those Dodgers who gets his work in, pays attention during the game, and then gets home to a TV. He is a huge NCAA tournament guy. Pitch misses inside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. One of Tony's best friends on the team is D. Gordon. I'd be interested to see a basketball game between those two. D will tell anyone who wants to listen about how he was dunking as a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah, and D will tell anybody that wants to listen that he'll beat you.
High pop-up, shallow left field. Fair territory. Play is made by Luis Hernandez, and that'll end the inning. So the Dodgers have to settle for just 1 run scored on the Juan Uribe single. Lead back up to 3. 5-2 Dodgers over the Rangers.
You ready for inspection, maggot? Yes!
lead. We're in Glendale, Arizona, maybe 300 yards away from the parking lot. There's a little landing strip, an airstrip, small planes coming in and out. Beautiful day to fly your plane, if you had a plane, and if you like flying planes. Maybe not so much Saturday or Sunday, expecting rain here in the area. New pitcher for the Dodgers, this is Javi Guerra. Not going to see Matt Guerrier for a while. He's still a little bit banged up, but getting in better and better form. Javi Guerra, that hop step, delivers first pitch fastball high to Brad Hawpe, veteran trying to make the team this year.
Brad Hawpe, another one of those guys that for about a 4-year stretch in Colorado averaged about 25 home runs, trying to figure out where that magic went. And another guy that was just basically banged up and had injuries the entire time, and that's why was unable to kind of get things going for himself again.
Up high, 2-1.
Javi Guerra last year, 21 saves for this Dodger team when he slipped into that role. Really just a golden season. Really had one little misstep. Pretty much the last pitch he threw gave up a grand slam to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Brian Roberts hit it. It was a game winner, a come from behind game winner for the Diamondbacks, and that was last time Guerra came in for a save opportunity. So he's back at it again this year. He's got the kind of makeup where he could care less. It's not like that one's going to bother him.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Hawpe. Javi Guerra is a native Texan. Line smash to the new shortstop for the Dodgers, Justin Sellers. So good with the glove. Makes the nice catch off the shoe tops. Don Mattingly was effusive in his praise of Justin Sellers a couple of days ago, saying, you know what, may not make the team, but this guy's a big leaguer. He's going to play consistently at the big league level at some point. Numbers may be a problem right now in terms of finding a roster spot, but Justin Sellers is a legitimate big leaguer in the eyes of his manager.
He's one of those guys, obviously, offensively. He's going to play a middle infield position, so he's not going to have to go out there and bang out 20 home runs a year. But he's not a real big guy. He has some home run pop, and I think that gets him in trouble sometimes. Needs to hit more line drives and more ground balls. Sometimes hits the ball in the air too often.
Connor Jackson lifts this one into center field. Gwynn got a late break on it, but has plenty of time. Ball hangs up, and there's now 2 outs here in the 7th. Other changes defensively for the Dodgers to tell you about. Next to Gwynn in left field, Corey Sullivan has replaced Juan Rivera, so the outfield's now Sullivan, Gwynn, and Sands. There's Sullivan. Saw him start yesterday. He's off to a good beginning to his spring training with a bat. Defensively in the infield, Josh Fields is now at third. Sellers at shortstop. DeJesus, the second baseman. And Adam Kennedy, who played 1 game at second, has now moved, or 1 inning at second, has now moved over to first. There's Josh Fields. There's Adam Kennedy. Back to the screen off the bat of Brandon Snyder. Snyder homered his last time up.
I think the only 2 positions that Adam Kennedy has not played is pitcher and catcher in his career. Bounced around, he's got a bunch of different gloves. Great crowd here today at Camelback Ranch, and as we've talked about the entire broadcast, the next 2 games will be sold out. Ben Scully will be bringing you the action tomorrow night against the Giants on the back end of a Camelback Ranch doubleheader. The White Sox will be playing the day game, and the Dodgers playing later on that night at 7 o'clock.
Down low, 2-2. St. Patrick's Day baseball. I haven't talked with anyone who would know, but will there be a lot of green worn by the Dodgers?
Traditionally, they wear the green hats. It's a green hat with a Dodger logo on it. Looks a little funny, but in the spirit of the holiday. don't think they go so far as to serve green beer. Got to go to your local pub for that. I'm sure you will.
Meaning me? 3-2 pitch. Fouled at the plate by Snyder. Well, if you heard it over the in-house public address system, but they announced the attendance today at 11,000. Sometimes you look around, you see a couple empty seats, and there's a reason for that. There's a lot of different things to do here at this complex. You don't have to sit in your seat and watch all 9 innings. You can walk around. There's a couple of ponds. There's a stream that goes through this complex. You can watch guys on the back fields go through their drills, and there's batting practice usually going on at any time.
Minor league games going on those backfields. See the stars of tomorrow.
And then you can always kind of hang out in the grassy areas. Left field line, right field line, center, right and left.
Well, we had a good time with the people in the grassy berm areas yesterday because, as we talked about, it might not be the best seat in the house, but you can have a lot of fun down there. You don't have to sit in your seat. You can spread out with a picnic blanket. We saw one girl catch a foul ball down the line. She got up and danced around. It's harder to do that when you're sitting in a seat.
That's the only place where you can do a pencil roll. Chris Robinson bats for the first time. Nubber to the second baseman. De Jesus, the flip over to Sellers, and the side is retired. Javi Guerra out of the pen. Gets a line out, a fly out, walks him in, and then a ground ball out. No damage done. Dodgers still up 5-2. Welcome back, everyone. We've had a chance to stand up and stretch it out. Bottom of the 7th inning. Dodgers on top of the Rangers 5-2. New pitcher coming on for the Rangers. Right-hander Yoshinori Tateyama. Steve, what do you know about him?
Virtually nothing. He hasn't been spending a whole lot of time pitching in the United States. His entire career until last year at Round Rock was spent in Japan pitching. Came up to the Rangers for 2 games. Or had a 2-0 record, had 39 appearances for the Rangers. Had a 2-0 record while he was there.
He's 36 years of age. Born and raised in Osaka, Japan. First man he'll face is Adam Kennedy. Kennedy's first at bat. He takes called strike 1. Tateyama has pitched for 2 different teams over in Japan. Originally spent his first 5 years professionally playing for the Nippon Ham Fighters. Into center field. It's a base hit for Kennedy. The veteran gets himself a knock, leading off the 7th inning for the Dodgers. Dodgers is a team now with 12 base hits.
Shortstop, number 12, Justin Sellers.
So Kennedy's always had that distinct uppercut swing. It's been effective for him in his big league career.
Hard to do, too. Big loopy swing like that. Obviously, I think when things go bad for Adam, he probably says, hey, I'm looping under everything. But when things are going good, he's able to get solid contact and usually hits a lot of line drives.
So Justin Sellers bats for the first time. He replaces Mark Ellis, who went 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored. Sellers, originally property of the Chicago Cubs organization. Spent the last month and a half with the Dodgers, and I know that a lot of Dodger management really impressed with him, the way he carried himself on a day-to-day basis.
I think he got to the big league level, got a taste of it, got his feet wet, and after about 10 days decided he belonged there.
Sellers has also played professionally in the Oakland A's organization. He was actually selected by the A's in the 6th round back in '05. Was traded from the A's to the Cubs with Robbie Robnett in exchange for Michael Wirtz, who was a serviceable big league pitcher for a long time with the Cubs. Dodgers picked him up from the Cubs for cash back in April of 2009. Tadayama's 0-2 pitch. That was hit off the front foot of Sellers. We'll do it again. No balls, 2 strikes. Kennedy on at first. Sellers down in the count 0-2. Dodgers leading 5-2. 3-run home run by James Loney back in the second. The game's big blow. Is that Laredo slider that you talk about every once in a while?
Little Laredo right there. That's no fun when you're a right-handed hitter and you're already down 2-0 and the guy comes from third base at you. Doing everything you can just to hang in there. Usually a hitter will be out in front of that pitch like Sellers was.
Next to bat for the Dodgers is Jerry Sands. Pitch down in the dirt. With that base hit by Adam Kennedy, the Dodgers now have a base hit leading off an inning in 6 of the 7 frames. A single by Gordon in first, double by Ethier in the 3-run second, a double by Ellis in the third, single by Uribe in the fourth, single by Rivera in the 6th, and now the Kennedy single. Sellers doing a great job of seeing everything that Tateyama has to offer here.
If you look at it under those standards, too, you'd almost be disappointed with the 5 runs that the Dodgers have scored. You think if you're going to lead off an inning almost every time with a base hit or a double or there's a guy on, 5 runs on the board, most of them courtesy of the 3-run homer, you could say, hey, we haven't scored enough runs. We haven't been able to keep things going after getting a good start in the inning.
I remember there's a large stretch in last year's season in which the Dodgers seemed to get double figures in hits every game, but they'd score 2 or 3 runs. The hits weren't the problem. It was just the amount of singles that they were getting was the issue.
Yeah, and or the hits with guys on base. I mean, my philosophy is if you get 10 hits, you should win. Get 10 hits, you're winning games. Or at least you should be.
Sellers again with a souvenir right side. No glove. Error. When will people learn, Steve?
It's just a perfect scenario. You don't bring your glove, you're probably not going to make the catch.
You know what? You bring your glove, though, and you forget it, and you're really chapped on the way home.
Well, you put your phone number on it.
Oh, God.
That way someone can call you and say, hey, thanks.
I got your glove.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving it back. Good eye by Sellers, takes inside. Count evens at 2. big picture stuff with the Dodgers this year, we saw Ted Lilly. He was really good in his 4 innings of work, just 44 pitches, retiring the last 11 consecutively. With him and Chris Capuano in the starting rotation this year, both lefties who are not going to be throwing mid-90s, is that an issue for you or for anyone involving the Dodgers, having two similar styled pitchers?
Not really, because they won't go back-to-back very often, if ever. They'll be spread out in the rotation. But, you know, it makes it more difficult, as we talked about, because both those guys are finesse guys. So they've got to come with their A game every day, and we know that's impossible to do. And if you're a finesse lefty and you can't trick somebody or throw the ball by them, you're going to have days where you get beat up. And that's why I think that this year maybe more important than any other year for the Dodgers is they have to have a reliable long guy.
Down the right field line, that's a base hit. Man was in motion, so Kennedy's going to make it to third easily. And back-to-back singles to begin the 7th inning for the Dodgers.
Just a great at-bat by Justin Sellers right there. He was down 0-2 in the count, kept seeing stuff. He saw the entire kitchen sink thrown at him and just kept fighting pitches off, kept waiting for a better pitch to hit. Even the pitch he hit wasn't a great pitch to hit. He fought it off and drilled it down into the corner over there. Jerry Sands, a guy since we've been here, hasn't had the opportunity to start, but finds himself in the game in the 5th or 6th inning, getting himself an at-bat or two.
Sands yesterday 0 for 2, couple of fly balls to right field. Even though he didn't get himself on, I don't think that too many people in the Dodgers organization are upset when Jerry goes the other way.
I mean, that's kind of his MO. He likes to drive the ball the other way. He's totally revamped his swing. He's so spread out now. And he starts the movement of his swing way before anyone else would. A lot of guys, a lot of hitters, when they decide when they want to start the movement of their swing, a lot of times it's when the pitcher's front foot comes down. When the front foot hits the ground, you start getting your cocking action to swing the bat. Jerry Sands does it when the pitcher breaks his hands. So when the pitcher breaks his hands, he's still a long way from planting that front foot on the throw, but he's got to get a lot of movement backwards in order to go forward. Doesn't really have a stride anymore. He's spread out much more than he was when he came up last year. A complete overhaul of his swing.
Why was there that need to have that overhaul?
Well, Jerry was sort of a two-part swinger. He used to stride, stop, and then swing. And he was just a hitch slow.
Fooled on the off-speed delivery, and that's out number 1. So Tadayama strikes out Sands.
Nasty slow breaking ball right there.
So with 1 out, Corey Sullivan will bat first time today. Sullivan trying to make the team. Veteran big league outfielder. Breaking into the big leagues with the Colorado Rockies. He is a native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Played his college baseball at Wake Forest. Takes a pitch downstairs, ball 1. Had a chance to talk to Corey earlier today in the clubhouse. He was telling me he was a way better soccer player than baseball player growing up in Western Pennsylvania. He was actually part of the United States developmental pool and would go all over the country playing in elite soccer tournaments. Had a chance to play soccer virtually wherever he wanted in the Northeast, close to his Pittsburgh home, and decided that he just loved baseball more. And after playing junior college baseball, wound up at Wake Forest. Got his degree from Wake Forest. He's had a decent big league career. Real pleasant guy. Takes a strike 1-1. Said his high school baseball coach was Neil Walker's father, Tom Walker. Pitched in the big leagues with the Detroit Tigers. Neil Walker, the second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Homegrown kid.
1-1. little tardy, 1-2. Sullivan born in 1979, so he's now 32 years of age. Longtime member of the Orioles organization before moving on, signing with the Dodgers, minor league free agent in December. And he strikes out, so back-to-back strikeouts for Tateyama. Sands and Sullivan now retired, and that'll leave it up to Josh Fields, former first-round pick of the Chicago White Sox. So Tateyama put himself in some serious trouble to begin this inning. Back-to-back hits by Kennedy and Sellers, but he's come back to strike out Sands and Sullivan. Fields has got some thump. Always put up big numbers at the minor league level. Hasn't been able to do it at the big league level so far. Former quarterback at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, battled through back injuries and was supposed to be, an anchor at third base for the Chicago White Sox. Did have a year where he threw up 23 homers in Chicago. That was way back in 06. 07 rather. 19 in 06, 23 in 07. Always worried about his back giving him trouble.
Breaking ball gets over, 2-1. Sneaks away from the catcher Robinson, not far enough for Sellers to advance.
Fields still a relatively young guy, 29 years old. Originally signed in 04.
Very similar guy to Matt Holliday. The St. Louis Cardinals, they both went to the Stillwater High School, Stillwater, Oklahoma, and they both were two-sport stars, both as quarterbacks on the football team. Now, Josh was actually a better football player than Matt Holliday. He ended up being the starting quarterback at Oklahoma State. That's saying something. Bounces out to the shortstop, forced out at second base, and the side is retired. So after back-to-back singles to begin the inning, the Dodgers can't score. To the eighth we go. 5-2 Dodgers on top of the Rangers.
So
The eighth inning, 5-2 Dodger lead. Gorgeous day. Camelback Ranch, Glendale.
One of the youngest fans you're ever going to see at a ball game right there. I believe that may be the granddaughter of the cameraman who's actually shooting her right now.
Get out of
so
here.
He's getting some great pictures.
Yeah, happy family there.
Yeah, got the stroller out behind you, just spreading out on the lawn, checking out a game.
Now the changes continue. Dodgers are going to bring a new pitcher out there. This is now pitcher number 5 today. Wilfredo Ledesma. Left-hander going to get an opportunity to pitch this 8th inning.
Last pitch in the big leagues for the Toronto Blue Jays. Last season, just 5 appearances for them. This is a guy who has bounced around. Originally in the Red Sox chain. Played in the big leagues in Detroit. A few seasons there, Atlanta, then back to Detroit, San Diego, Arizona, back to San Diego, DC, Pittsburgh, Toronto.
Oh my goodness.
Who did he miss?
Sounds like a left-handed pitcher to me.
9 years in the big leagues. Another one of those guys. Career numbers at the major league level, 10 games under 500.
Luis Hernandez takes outside. 2 balls and a strike to Hernandez. Taking a look at this Ranger lineup. Obviously not a lot of their thump with the team today. No Josh Hamilton, Elvis Andrus, Adrian Beltre, Nelson Cruz, Ian Kinsler not making the trip. But the guys that did come here, none of them have settled for a single or a double. They have 3 hits as a team, a triple by David Murphy, and then 2 home runs, one by Brandon Snyder and one by Alberto Gonzalez. So when they do hit the ball, they hit it hard. Speaking of, this one drilled to center field. Gwynn going back and makes the play. A fairly deep center field, 410 feet to straightaway center. And Gwynn runs it down. So out number 1 off the bat of Hernandez. In case you're just joining us, Ted Lilly was fantastic. 4 innings that just blew right by. He faced 1 over the minimum. He retired the last 11 that he faced, didn't walk a man, and struck out a pair. First at bat for Rene Osuna. Chance for the second baseman, De Jesus. No worries. 2 outs.
De Jesus making another appearance today after a 3-hit day yesterday. Drove in a couple runs.
So Ledesma has retired the first 2. Now he'll face the speedy Leonis Martin. Martin now 24 years of age, from Villa Clara in Cuba. Listed at 6'2", 190 pounds. Was signed last May after defecting from Cuba. In his career over in the Cuban League, 5 seasons, .314 batter with 38 home runs. Supposed to be really fast.
You really have to wonder. You talk about the dedication to the game of some of these Cuban baseball players that have to defect in a dangerous and often scary way just to get a chance to play professional baseball in the States.
How about this? He's an older player. Obviously, he's not 18, 19. He's 24 years of age. He played in the fewest amount of professional games here in the States. No, count what he did in Cuba. The fewest pro games here in the States of any Texas player prior to making his big league debut since Pete Incaviglia went straight from Oklahoma State to the big leagues in 1986. He played against Inky, didn't he?
Yeah. Incaviglia, one of the very few guys that never played in the minor leagues. I believe there's less than 25 guys that ever do that. Dave Winfield was one of them.
Incaviglia, there's a legend about Inky. I think it was a spring training game. This is the days when I had a lot of those outfield walls that were just wood. The legend had it. He hit a ball through an outfield fence.
He could hit. He had some pop behind it.
Martin strikes out. Nice performance, Wilfredo Ledesma. 3 up, 3 down, including a strikeout. Bottom of the 8th when we come back, 5-2, Dodgers over the Rangers. Dodgers on top of the Rangers by a score of 5-2 as we play the home half of inning number 8. Subscribe to MLB.tv Premium today and get over 150 select spring training games with no blackouts. Every regular season game live or on demand on your favorite devices. Visit Dodgers.com for details. That really is one of the kind of really cool things that modern technology has brought our way.
When you can watch a baseball game until you're blue in the face. I mean, you can see every game played.
You pick your angle, camera angle, all that kind of stuff. I discovered that a while ago, and man, real neat. Here's Ivan De Jesus Jr. batting for the first time today. He went 3 for 3 in yesterday's game, raising his spring batting average to 300. 6 hits and 20 at-bats. Yesterday he went 3 for 3 with a couple of runs batted in and a run scored. Yoshinori Tateyama working his second inning. This one flipped in the air, first base side. It'll fall into the stands. Taking a look at the Dodger upcoming schedule. Tomorrow a game right here. You know what? I take that back. That game's over at Talking Stick. It's Nathan Eovaldi and Jeremy Guthrie. No, I take it back. No, it's a split squad game. That's the day game. So Eovaldi is going to pitch, and tomorrow afternoon at the Colorado Rockies as De Jesus strikes out right here at Camelback Ranch. Night game. The Giants taking on the Dodgers. Aaron Harang is going to get the ball for the Dodgers. And then on Sunday, back to a day game. Chris Capuano is going to pitch against the Angels, and Dan Herron should be a good one there. De Jesus strikes out for the first out. Here's the switch hitting catcher, Josh Bard. Bard swings at the first pitch and lifts it into the air. Left field. Kyle Hudson makes the play. Hudson is used to catching things out of the sky. He was a really good receiver at the Big Ten level for the Illinois Fighting Illini. 2 consecutive years led the Illini in passes caught.
Mostly a running team, though, aren't they?
They were a bad team when he was there. Yeah.
Boy, it's tough for some of these guys. They hang around. Josh Bard hangs around a game, is catching guys down in the bullpen, getting everybody else loose. You get one at bat. If you're a guy that likes to be a first pitch fastball hitter, you swing at that first pitch, you don't get it all day. You get one hit, you get one pitch.
Trent Olchin swings at the first pitch and flies out to center field. So the last 2 outs recorded on just 2 pitches. Nice performance by Tateyama. Ninth is next. Dodgers up by 3. Ball live from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. Top of the 9th inning. Dodgers trying to take one from the American League champion Texas Rangers. 5-2 is our score. Dodgers big blow. A 3-run home run by James Loney in the 2nd inning off of Greg Reynolds. They've been cruising ever since. New pitcher coming on for Don Mattingly, Scott Rice, left-hander. He's 30 years of age. He will come on and try and get the final 3 outs.
Scott Rice proves the old adage, if you want to hang around the game of baseball for a long time, be left-handed. Rice is 6'6", 220 pounds. Spent 13 years playing baseball. Never made it to the big leagues, but did have one of his best seasons last year. Double-A Chattanooga. And an ERA of 1.95 in his 34 appearances. So, as you talked about, if you're a 30-year-old right-hander, never in the big leagues, you're probably gone.
Angel Beltre leads things off. His first at bat. Just got to be saying thanks a lot. First at bat of the day, and it comes against the left-hander. Lefty-lefty matchup here. Looks like he's got no chance through the first 2 pitches. Beltre came on a couple of innings ago to play right field. But his first trip to the plate. 3rd pitch he sees, and he swings on top of it. 3 pitches, 3 swings and misses.
It's not quite like the other Beltre that they have in that lineup. Adrian Beltre swings a little bit better than that. He's over in Vegas by now, I bet.
Okay, here comes some thunder. This is really the last remaining threat in the lineup for the Rangers, Mike Napoli. He's been the designated hitter. This is 4th at bat. He's 0 for 3 with a strikeout his last time up. And Napoli takes strike 1. So Rice has thrown 4 pitches, all of them have hit the strike zone.
Good sign for a guy that's coming in late in the game. Got to throw strikes. There's another one. Talked to Napoli before the game, asked him why he didn't make the trip over to Las Vegas. He said, man, they're playing 2 games over there. If I went over there, it would take me 5 days to recover, so I'm smarter than that. Told Wash I don't want to go.
How much control does a guy like Mike Napoli, 30 years, who's been in the game a long time, his schedule in spring training, how much of that is his decision and how much is the coaching staff?
Well, I think most guys follow the game plan of what the coaching staff has laid out for you, but you know how hard you have to go after things and when you can take a little bit of time off or take some breaks. And then it's a matter of conversations. You walk up to your coaching staff and say, look, I know what it takes for me to get ready, and this what I'm doing over here, I don't need these extra at bats, or I don't need to do that.
First base hit of the day for Napoli, a 1-for-4 afternoon, 1-out single for him.
I don't need to make the trip to Las Vegas. I'll play on Friday, give me Saturday off. I'll play in the game Sunday here in the split squad, and I'll be ready to go.
Napoli gets himself an attaboy, and he's going to be replaced on the base paths. Swinging at the first pitch and driving it, Mike Bianucci. Deep center field, but the Dodgers have a man there. Tony Gwynn Jr. makes the play, and now the Rangers are down to their last out. Steve, I think things have changed since you were playing spring training ball, particularly over in the Grapefruit League in Florida, with those long commutes. I know there used to be legendary stories about guys just not wanting to be on a bus for 6 hours a day, getting from one place to the next. Things have changed now, particularly here in the Cactus League, when all the games are so centrally located in the Phoenix area.
Yeah, I mean, you can make those road trips, and it's not a big deal. Yeah, there were too many times in the Grapefruit League where you'd have to literally stay overnight. You'd go to the east coast of Florida and maybe play the Yankees and the Orioles and stay overnight in between. It's like we're going on a road trip in spring training. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but still that way over there. They're starting to tighten things up a little bit, but you still have those long trips. Here, nothing. Used to be the two teams 120 miles down the road in Tucson. They're not there anymore. Both Colorado and Arizona, but up here at Talking Stick now, one of the best facilities here in the Cactus League. So you can see almost every team play. 15 teams here in the Cactus League that play. You can come out here for a weekend or 4 or 5 days and see a bunch of different ball clubs play if you want to.
Scott Rice trying to get the final out of the game. 3 balls and a strike to Kyle Hudson. Hudson, a former wide receiver in the Big Ten with the Illinois Fighting Illini. 2 consecutive years was the team's leading receiver. Decided to play baseball instead at the pro level. 2 hoppers should end the game. De Jesus over to Sellers. Side retired. Game over. And the Dodgers pick up their 8th spring win. 5-2 the final over the Rangers.
Oh, the tone in this game was set by 2 lefties. I think Ted Lilly came out and dominated from the get-go. And I love it when you can say a lefty who doesn't throw hard dominated a game. And then a big blow, 3-run shot by James Loney.
So the win is going to go to Ted Lilly. He was fantastic. 4 innings, just 44 pitches thrown. He retired the last 11 Rangers that he faced, and he struck out a pair. So the Dodgers pick up the win. That neutralizes yesterday's loss against the Kansas City Royals. Dodgers are now 8-3-2 so far in their spring training action. Now be sure to join us again tomorrow. The Dodgers are going to take on the San Francisco Giants right here at Camelback Ranch. Vince Scully will be on the call. Sure hope you enjoyed it. For Steve Lyons, I'm Eric Collins saying so long, everybody.